Greetings and welcome to another Death Knight XP farm. So, I really wasn't planning on releasing this information, let alone making a video, because I was going to go for server first Death Knight. But in recent news, there was a much bigger YouTuber who decided to recycle some of my content, not give me credit, and then claim it was the fastest way to level their Death Knight. But I am here to disprove that and show you the actual fastest way to level your Death Knight. So this is a video I made about 2 months ago showing you guys how to ice chains the first two mobs and then use hunger and cold on the next packs to freeze them all in place, and then ultimately how to kite the pack around as a whole group and then AoE them down in about 4 minutes. Now, if you ask me, this looks vaguely similar to a video that was recently published by someone who won't be named.
And the build I actually got for this run was actually something I got from one of my guildmates and salad bakers.
Unfortunately, my application to Salad backers got denied because they found out I bathed more than once a week, but I'm not here to pontificate, I'm here to show you how to get XP. So if you like stealing my content without giving me credit because you're out of your own ideas, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button where I'll show you how to do XP farms, solo heroics, kill world bosses, all in the Wrath of the Lich King. So before jumping into the poll here, we need to spend some time talking about the secret sauce and how to make all this happen. The first buff you can get is called Brewfest Enthusiast. This gives you 10% increased XP for 2 hours. And you get this by standing in Rocktusk Farm at 6:15 a.m. or 6:15 p.m. server time, and Zul'jin will come out and do some RP stuff, and then voila, you have this buff. The second buff that we can get is called Blessing of Auchindoun, and this gives us increased experience by 5% and damage increase by 5%. You get this by controlling the towers every 6 hours. Wow, that rhymed. And if you're not in control of them, you could always just layer hop onto a layer that does have them. Now, the next buff you can get is Blessing of Adal, which grants us 200 melee attack power. You get this by doing a long chain in Netherstorm and then turning it in, which ultimately gives you the Arcatraz key. And I'm willing to bet most Death Knights probably didn't do this quest because it's really not needed anymore. The fourth buff that we're going to get is called Soul Revival, and it's a 10% damage increase buff for 30 minutes. Now, you get this by doing the invasions, and unfortunately I don't have any footage of me doing it, but it's pretty straightforward. You just clear the camp, kill the crystal, and then you get the buff. The last thing is something you may or may not already know, but if you're a loser like me and have multiple classes, what you can do is you can disconnect your main, log on to your alt, and if you're in the same party as them, you can actually self-buff your main. So with all of these buffs, you're getting a 15% damage increase and a 15% XP increase. And this doesn't even include flasks or food or anything else yet. Now, without these buffs, I was getting about 900k XP per hour, which is about in line with the Botanica and Sethic and some of the other dungeon farms. But with these buffs, it really just makes it that much more lucrative, pushing us to about 1.2 or 1.3 million XP per hour. Keep in mind that this is only for 2 hours, but if you're trying to get a server first or just trying to see how fast you can get to level 80, this 2 hours is a very big jump on your competition. To start this poll, we're going to want to make sure that we're in Frost Presence. Now, we could probably do it in Blood Presence for the extra 10% damage, but it's really not worth it with the amount of mobs that we're going to be tanking. And also another thing to note that in Frost Presence, you get a lot of extra armor, and because we do have the talent Bladed Armor, we're not really losing that much damage, but we are gaining a lot more survivability. And just like in the other videos, our rotation is going to be to start with Icy Touch, Plague Strike, and then Spread Pestilence. Now, the name of the game is as you kite these mobs into other groups, you're going to want to spread Pestilence to get the diseases on all the mobs, and you're really just going to keep that going. So I'm not really going to spend any time talking about glyphs and talents in this video because I've done that in prior videos, but what I will go ahead and do is leave a link in the description below if you want to check out what those talents are in glyphs, and I would really encourage you to check out the other videos if you're curious as to why I'm picking those talents and glyphs. So once all the mobs have diseases on them, our three main abilities are going to be Death Strike to heal ourselves for 15%, Heart Strike to cleave, and then Rune Strike to use our extra runic power. Also notice how when we start killing mobs in the current pack, we chain pull with other packs to make sure there's always mobs to cleave. So, the one thing I really like about this Manitombs farm, if you haven't already noticed my XP per hour, is just the sheer number of mobs and packs that you can chain pull together and how easy they are to kill. The other thing that makes this dungeon great is it only takes about 13 and a half minutes to clear, and when you do clear it, at the end, you run right past the last boss, and then the beginning of the instance is right there where you can reset. Now, as we're finishing up this pack here, we're going to really want to be careful for that boss on the right, because if he pulls, it's just time wasted. Now, he is easily killable, but he's just not worth the XP. So to avoid him, we're just going to hug this left-hand side here and then run on through into the next pack. With this new pack here, there's really nothing different other than these groups now have healers, so you're just going to want to prioritize to kill them first, and then if they try to cast heal, just kick it. So one thing to note that I didn't really talk about before is because we are in a lower instance, these mobs aren't really that big of a threat to us, so we are going to want to be using our cooldowns whenever they're up. There's really nothing in this instance that's going to require you to save cooldowns. And as you can see with this pull right here, we can pull a lot of mobs and there's not really a threat to dying. So something to mention about this room, we're going to be trying to avoid, no pun intended, the big void guys for a couple reasons. The first one is they have a lot larger health pool than the regular mobs, and they give about 500 less XP. The second one is they fear and silence you, so they're just really a nuisance to deal with, so we're just going to avoid them. So we're about halfway through the run right now, and as you can see, this is a very lucrative XP farm, as we are sitting at about 1.3, 1.4 million XP per hour. As you can see here, I make a mistake by pulling the Void guy by accident, and if that happens, it's not really a big deal. You could just pop your anti-magic shell and nuke them down. They're not difficult, they just have high health. So for this boss, we're just going to pop our Icebound Fortitude and run into the next room, and he should reset. Now, I do make a really bad mistake here, and while I'm doing the other mobs, I accidentally hit Pestilence, which hits the boss and keeps the boss in combat to me. So it did cost me some XP per hour, but he is resettable. So if there's one thing that this shows you is you can actually make mistakes, and you're not really at risk of dying just because the mobs are low level. So as you can see, killing the boss was a big waste of time and not worth the XP at all, and really that was just a mistake that I made. I should have let him reset, but unfortunately he didn't. But as you can clearly see, it's still lucrative even with making mistakes. So now that we've finished that room, we'll be pushing into the last room here, where again, we're only going to be focusing on the packs and not the big elites or the boss. Well, there you have it, about 1.1 million XP per hour, and I made a ton of mistakes in this run. All those extra voids that didn't need to be pulled were a waste of time, and of course the big thing that killed us was the second boss. Before that I was pushing about 1.3 million XP per hour, and that's what I would say is about standard. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see y'all in the next video.